everyone, I'm Laura. I'm going to show you how to crochet this snowman. So this is from my pattern on Etsy, which also comes with this igloo. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave the link in the description. But in this video, we're just going to be making the snowman. So if you've never crocheted before, take a look at my videos about how to do single crochet and how to crochet in the round, and then come back to this video and you should be able to do it fine. So you're going to need a 3mm crochet hook, some scissors, a yarn needle, a stitch marker, some black embroidery thread, some stuffing, and you'll need double knit yarn. I'm using this sparkly white yarn. I'm also using green, brown and orange. And for the hat I used black and red, but I also used beige because black doesn't show up well on camera. So we're going to start in white with the head, and we're going to make a magic ring. So just pull that short tail out and put it by the side. And then we're going to do 6 single crochet underneath both of those strands. So count the V's to count your stitches. And pull tight on that short tail to close the magic ring. And then put the stitch marker in the last stitch. Round 2, we're going to do an increase in every stitch. So an increase is 2 single crochet in 1 stitch. So at the end of the round we'll have 12 stitches. So I'm going to show you the first few rounds in full, and then after that I'll show you the beginning of each round, and then you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done it. So take the marker out and do your last increase. And then put the marker in the last stitch that we did, as we do at the end of every round. Round 3, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch, and we're going to do that 6 times. So the part in brackets is repeated the number of times stated, and we'll have 18 stitches at the end of this round. So we're increasing evenly in multiples of 6. Okay, so the last set, and then take out the marker and do your last increase. And put the marker back in. Round 4, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to increase in the next stitch. We do that 6 times and we'll have 24 stitches at the end of the round. So you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done that. Okay, so I've done that round, and you can count your rounds like this. So rounds 5 to 8, that's 4 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch. So we're not increasing or decreasing, we're just maintaining 24 stitches. So I'm just showing you the first round and speeding it up just so you can see. But you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done all 4 rounds. Okay, so I've done all those rounds, and you can count and you can find the last increase round. So there's an increase there, and then you can count your 4 rounds. So round 9, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, then we're going to do an invisible decrease, and we're going to do that 6 times so that we have 18 stitches. So I'll show you how to do an invisible decrease. We're going to be working in the front loops only. So that's the front loop and that's the back loop. So we pick up the front loop of the next stitch, and then we pick up the front loop of the stitch next to that. Like that. And then yarn over and pull through those first 2 loops. You can pull through the first one first to make it easier, and then through the second one. And then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops on the hook. So that has decreased by 1. And you can see the leftover loops, the back loops, and then you can also see that diagonal piece. We don't want to go into that, we want to go into the next stitch, so under the V as normal. So now we just repeat that, single crochet in the next 2 stitches and invisible decrease. So I'll just show you that once more. So yarn over and pull through both. You can pull through one smooth motion once you get the hang of it. So I'll just speed this up to show you, but you can pause the video and finish the round. So when we've got 2 stitches left, take out the marker and do your last invisible decrease. And you can push that tail inside. Put the marker back in. Round 10, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease, and we'll do that 6 times so that we have 12 stitches at the end of the round. So I'll just show you the first 2 sets, and then you can pause the video and meet me back when you finish the round. So now we're going to stuff it. So just take small pieces of stuffing and push it in. I want to do it fairly firmly, but not too much so that it gets in the way of the next round. So put the marker back in. And this is the last round, round 11. We're going to do an invisible decrease 6 times so that we just have 6 stitches remaining. So it helps to put your finger in that opening like that. So that's the first invisible decrease, and the next one into the next stitch. So it's obviously getting smaller as you're doing it, so that's why it helps to have your finger in there. So this sparkly yarn can get caught sometimes, so I had to undo that one. So take out the marker when you've got 2 stitches remaining and do your last invisible decrease. So now we're going to take even smaller bits of stuffing and just finish stuffing that. I found it helped to use the end of my scissors just to push it inside. So now we're going to fasten off, leaving a tail for sewing. So about this long. So now we're going to make the nose in orange, and we're going to make a magic ring. And we're going to do 3 single crochet in the magic ring. So this is going to be quite small and a bit fiddly. So it might help to keep your stitches fairly loose. And then pull tight to close the magic ring. And put the marker in that last stitch. So rounds 2 to 3, just 2 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch, so just maintaining 3 stitches. So this is going to be fiddly. So there's the first one there. And then once you've done the first one, it helps to just push it out so that the outside is in the right place. And there's the second one. And then take out the marker and do the last one. So then put the marker back in. And do the second round. So there's the next stitch. It can be difficult to see. So just pull that tail from the magic ring out of the way. So you can see it is quite fiddly, it gets stuck, but we need this nose to be as small as it can be, and 3 stitches is probably the smallest that you could do. And then last one. Okay, so that's it finished. Now we're going to fasten off, leaving a tail for sewing. About this long. And then trim that tail from the magic ring. Now we're going to sew it to the middle of the face between round 6 and 7. So start counting from the top and find the space between 6 and 7. So it's going to be sewn across 6 and 7. I used a sewing pin to position it first of all. So thread the tail onto your needle and then go through that next orange loop just to round it off. And then pick up loops from the surface of the stitches on the white piece. And then go underneath both loops of the orange stitches. So just do this all the way around, going across the 2 rounds. And then to fasten off, we're going to go through that loop, but not all the way. So we're going to leave a loop, and then we're going to go through that from behind and pull tight to make a knot. And then weave that tail going back in through where you came out of. And just come out of the opening of the head. So pull tight, make sure that it's hidden. And then trim the excess of the orange yarn. So now we're going to make the eyes and the mouth. So cut a 48cm long piece of embroidery thread. And then tie a double knot in the end of it. So just another knot on top of that knot to stop it coming through the stitches. And then thread it onto your needle. And come up through the opening at the neck. And come up just above the round where the top of the nose is sewn to. Then go through a white loop near to where you've come out. Pull it through, but not all the way. Leave a small loop. And then go through that loop from behind. And pull tight to make a knot. So we've made a knot around that loop, and now we're going to do another one on top of that. So go through underneath that knot and just repeat the same as what you've just done. Pull tight, and now you've got 2 knots on top of each other, and just flatten it out. Then we're going to weave through close to where we've come out of and go to the other side, so roughly this distance apart. And then we're going to repeat exactly the same for the other eye. So there's the first knot, and then make another one. Now we're going to go back through near where we came out and weave through the head and come out near the bottom. Weave through the head and come out about here. And we're just going to do 2 stitches in a wide V shape. So we go through the middle point here, and then we come back out on the same round, so that space between the 2 rounds, and then we go back through that same space and come out of the opening at the neck. So then we're going to find a white loop on the inside of the stitches on the last round. Go through it and pull through, but not all the way. Go through that loop from behind and pull tight to make a knot. And then weave through the head. Cut the yarn close to the edge of the work. And then push that end in to hide it. And then also push those tail ends in as well. So now we're going to make the hat. So the first 4 rounds are exactly the same as the first 4 rounds of the head. So I've left the instructions on the screen, and you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done all those rounds. Okay, so now we put the marker back in. Round 5, we're going to work in the back loops only. So this is the back loop because it's furthest away from you. And we're going to single crochet in every stitch. So we're just maintaining 24 stitches. And what this does is it makes the crochet change direction. So we've done the top of the top hat, and this is going to be the sides now. So I'll just speed this up to show you, but you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done this round. So we take out the marker and do our last stitch in the back loop. And you can see the remaining front loops that we've left over, and you can also see how it's changed direction. So put the marker back in, and now we're going to be working in both loops again. So round 6 to 8, that's 3 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch, maintaining 24 stitches. So I left the instructions on the screen. You can pause the video and meet me back when you've done that. Okay, so I've done all those rounds. We've got our first back loop only round there, and then you can count 3 rounds after that. I've just got one more stitch to do. So we take the marker out, and we're going to change colour as we finish this last beige single crochet. So we pull up a loop as normal, but we don't finish the single crochet. And then we take red, and then we grab the red yarn and pull a loop through both of those loops on the hook. And that's completed the single crochet, and it's changed to red. So all the future stitches will be in red. So then we take our hook out and put the marker back in. Make sure you don't lose that loop, and then put your hook back in. And we're going to leave the beige yarn attached because we're going to be using that later. So round 9, we're going to single crochet in every stitch in red. So I'm just going to speed this up to show you, but you can pause the video. Okay, so I've come to the last stitch, so we take out the marker, and then we're going to change back to beige as we finish this last red single crochet. So it's exactly the same as before. We pull up a loop, and then we put the red down and pick up our beige yarn again. So just put those 2 short tails to the back, and then we finish that single crochet, pull on that red end to tighten the stitch, and then we put our marker back in. So now we can cut the red tail, so just leave a short length, and then tie those 2 red tails together in a knot. So I did a double knot just to be secure, and then push all those short tails inside, and now we're going to make the brim of the hat. So we're going to be working in the front loops only, so that's the loops that are closest to us. And we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, then we're going to increase in the next stitch. We're going to do that 6 times, and we'll have 30 stitches at the end of the round. So we're increasing out so that the brim is flat. So we're increasing out, and because we're working in the front loops, the brim is going to be sticking out in the direction that we want it to be. So I'll just show you the first set, and then you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done this round. Okay, so I've just got one more set to do. So we take out the marker and do our last increase. And then we can push it out so that it's the right way, and then you can see all of our leftover loops. So we're going to be using those later on to sew it to the head. We put the marker back in, and now for round 11 we're going to be working in both loops again, and we're going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches, then increase in the next stitch, do that 6 times, and we'll have 36 stitches at the end of the round. So this is actually the last round of the hat. So I'll show you the first set, and then you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done that. Okay, so I've finished that round, And now in order to round it off, we're going to do a slip stitch in the next stitch. So push the hook in the stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then pull that loop through the first loop on the hook, and that's a slip stitch. And then we're going to leave a tail for sewing, so about this long, and fasten off. And then thread that tail onto your needle, and we're going to sew it to the head, and we're going to weave through those beige loops of those 2 rounds, and then through that first red loop to get to where we need to be. And then we're going to sew it to the head using those red loops. So I actually started lower down at the back, and I sewed it on at a bit of an angle because I wanted it to be about 2 rounds above the eyes. So I'll just speed this up to show you how I did it. So pick up white loops and just keep lifting it up and checking where the nearest white loop is, and then go through the red loops. So when you get back to the beginning, we're going to fasten off. So we're going to find a loop, go through it and pull through, but not all the way. Leave a loop and go through the loop from behind, pull tight to make a knot, and then we're going to weave that through the middle of the hat and come out at the side. And then cut the yarn close to the edge of the work. So now we're going to make the bottom part of the body, and again it starts with the exact same 4 rounds. So I'll leave the instructions on the screen and you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done those rounds. Okay, so round 5, we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, then we're going to increase in the next stitch, and we'll do that 6 times so that we have 30 stitches at the end of the round. So this bottom part of the body is going to be the widest piece. So I'll just do the first set and then you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done that. Okay, so I've done that round. You can count your rounds just to make sure. So round 6 to 9, that's 4 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch, so we're just maintaining 30 stitches in each round. So you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done those. Okay, so I've done those rounds, and you can find your last increase round and then count 4 rounds, make sure you got the right number. So we put the marker back in the last stitch we did. Round 10, we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, then we're going to do an invisible decrease. We'll do that 6 times and we'll have 24 stitches at the end of the round. So you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done that. So round 11, we're going to single crochet in every stitch, just maintaining 24 stitches. So you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done that. So now we're going to fasten off, leaving a tail for sewing, about this long. And we're going to stuff this piece now. So I've left the instructions on the screen to make the middle part of the body. You can pause the video and meet me back when you've done that. Okay, so this is the middle part of the body I've just finished. Now we're going to fasten off. We don't need to leave a very long tail for this. And then we're going to stuff this piece. And we're going to push the middle piece inside the bottom piece like this. So thread the tail from the bottom piece onto your needle. And then we're going to sew it using the surface of the loops on the last round of the top piece. And then we're going to go underneath both loops of the last round of the bottom piece so that it sort of sits inside. So we're going to do this all the way around. So just line it up as best you can. Okay, so I've come to the end now. I'm just doing the last few stitches. And then when you've done the last one, we're going to tie those two tails in a knot and then weave them in through the body. And then cut the yarn close to the edge of the work and push both of those ends in to hide them. So that's the body finish. Now we're going to sew the head onto the top part. So we've got 6 stitches, so we're going to be picking up loops from round 1 and then going underneath both loops of the last round of the head. So just do this all the way around. And don't worry if it seems a little bit wobbly, because we're going to make the scarf in a minute, and that's going to make his neck a lot more secure. And that will stop any wobbling once he's got the scarf on. So then we fasten off in the same way as usual. And weave in the end. So now we're going to make the scarf in green. So we make a slip knot. And then chain 40. So I'll just speed this up to show you, but you can pause the video. So now fasten off, leaving a short tail like this. And then we're going to trim both tail ends so that they're roughly 2 centimeters long. So make sure they're both the same length, line them up next to each other. And then we're going to unravel the ends so that we've got 3 smaller strands and it looks curly. So now I just need to put the scarf on him, just tie it in a knot like this. So now we're going to make his arm. So I've made the first one here, and it begins exactly the same as the nose. So it begins with 3 single crochet in a magic ring, and it just has more rounds of single crochet. So this is how you count your rounds. So I've left the instructions on the screen, so you need to make 2 arms and then meet me back when you've done that. So now we need to fasten off, leaving a tail for sewing, and then trim the tail from the magic ring. So now we're going to sew them on like this, and they hold their shape quite well because they're quite stiff. So you can just position the arm upwards and curve it slightly so he looks like he's waving. And then I sewed the other arm just down flat by his side. And then weave the tail in through the body. And cut the yarn and hide the end. And then I'll just show you how I sewed the other arm on. So fasten off and weave in the end. Cut the yarn and hide the end. So there we have it, our snowman is finished. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you'd like to check out my Etsy shop, I design and sell crochet patterns. I'll leave the link in the description. I'd love to see a photo of your snowman. You can share it with me by tagging me on Instagram at Laura_Wilson01. If you've got any ideas of anything you'd like me to make a tutorial for, leave a comment below. And if you want to see more of my videos, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.